Yeah, a great team victory. This was a big time win for our program. And anytime you can do this, guys, when we have 20 plus players out in quarantine, 4 coaches of our coaching staff, this is a great effort by our whole program and by our defensive staff and our offensive staff and special teams. And I just can't talk about the character of our program, our coaches, our players, and we're happy to get out and win today.
Okay, we'll take our first question from Ethan Joyce, Winston-Salem Journal.
Hey, Shawn, going right off that, I mean, what is it like just trying to get through a day like this where you're clearly worrying about results on the field, but there's stuff going off the field, and it's communication, it's, trying to help guys that are doing these new positions for maybe the first time. How do you just go about navigating all of that in a day like today?
There's not really a word for it. Again, it's been a long week, guys. We found out Wednesday at 1:38 that we were in quarantine, guys in quarantine. We had a team meeting at 1:45, and we went to practice, and our offensive staff came back into practice and worked late Wednesday and late Thursday and early Friday to get this game plan together. And this thing, it changes every second. And I know I say that all the time, but it really is. It's hard. But again, I'm very proud of our program, our players. They're resilient. And that's why we're such a great program.
How do you go about, I guess, building that depth chart from Wednesday to today and trying to think about, maybe this guy would be okay in this position, or maybe we can get some depth from this guy if we switch him over?
We had 4 receivers today, 4. And Wednesday in the team meeting at 1:45, I made the executive decision to put Milan Tucker to receiver. And then the same thing with Anderson Castle. And they're just great football players. You watch their high school tape, they're just good football players. And they really stepped up to help us get this win today.
And then last one for me, Dietrichs has a really big game and does it, when you don't have the 3 guys that you can rely on, and he really kind of has to carry a lot of it in the beginning. What do you say about that performance? And I guess, the performance of the offensive line that was getting a lot of good push throughout the day as well.
Well, that was our goal today. We knew that if we were going to win this football game, we had to put it in the hands of our offensive line and our running back and Dietrichs, and they stepped to the challenge. I know those guys very well. I recruited all of them up front and have a lot of trust in those guys. And they told me, Coach, run the ball and we'll win. And we did that. And again, it's just great to get a great win over a great opponent in Campbell. You look back in the last 2 games, they played Georgia Southern tough and they played Coastal Carolina tough. That's a really good football team. We came out and executed today.
Okay, we'll take our next question from Steve Baer, Watauga Democrat. Steve, you're still on mute.
Mute. All right now? Okay.
Yeah.
Just want to ask a little about Anderson Castle. When was the decision made to move him to running back? Is that going to be a permanent possibility, or is he going to be moved back to safety, or how did all that come about?
Well, we had the practice on Wednesday, and we had 3 running backs. I looked over there, and he was drinking water, so I grabbed him and brought him to offense. And that's the one thing about being the head coach. You got 51% of the vote. And he came over, and we taught him 2 running plays, and he was successful. You go back and look at his high school tape. He was an incredible football player. And I had a chance to watch him when I recruited him in a basketball game, and I knew he was exactly what we needed at Appalachian State. He's a winner, and he'll do anything with this program. That's what makes him so special.
I know the other Peoples and Williams, I believe, had some injuries going into at least after Marshall. Is that why they didn't play? Are they on the shelf because for that?
Our local health department.
Because of the local health department? Okay.
I just follow the rules, guys. We'll follow the direction of our health department.
Okay. I'm good. Thanks, Coach.
Thank you.
Okay, we'll take our next question from Kenneth Reese, Watauga Online.
Coach, how much, obviously you had some pre-planning going on should the COVID situation affect your team. How much of that pre-planning came into effect Wednesday when you had to start making all of these changes? Or was it one of those you just kind of had to wait and see what was going to happen and then react to it?
No, we had a plan in place, and I wasn't expecting to have 3 full times and a graduate assistant in quarantine, but we were very fortunate. We were able to elevate Lance Ware from associate head coach to a full-time position. We were able to get a few other guys to help us, but it was really a 3-man band. And it was myself, Coach Peterson, and Coach Carwell, and Lance also. And we just stuck to the game plan, what we knew we could do. And anytime you have a really good offensive line and a quarterback like Zach Thomas, I'll take those odds any day of the week, no matter what's stacked against us. And I told our players last night, there's no excuses in this program. And if we have 11 to play, we're going to play. And it's time for us to go out and win a football game.
One more real quick. You've got a little bit of a break, I guess, coming up because the next game is Wednesday night, a week from Wednesday. So I guess this break couldn't come at a better time, correct?
Yes, we need this break. Just to give our guys a chance to refresh before we get into the hunt of another conference championship. And we're looking forward to hosting Lafayette here on Wednesday evening on ESPN and in front of all nation to see.
Thanks, Coach.
Thank you, bud.
Okay, we'll go back to Ethan for another question.
Hey, Shawn, you're talking about having so few wide receivers, and I wonder how you kind of go about gauging, not putting too much pressure on them, but at some point saying, we got to throw the ball to keep this running game effective.
Yeah, it's Zach Thomas could have had a field day today if we had more depth at receiver, because it was cover zero the whole game with no safety help. And very similar to Marshall, we were able to establish a line of scrimmage. Our running backs hit the holes today. There were some open holes they hadn't hit the week previous. And again, if we have our receivers, it's probably a different game. But those guys were so unselfish. And you can't say enough about Thomas Hennigan and the guys like that. And they went out there and played their tails off. And I'm so proud of them.
You get to see a couple of really young guys step up, and Nate Noel's one of those guys. Jalen McLeod, another one of those guys that got a lot of time today. And, I guess, how do you feel about those players' futures kind of in their first game and looking at the performances that they were able to put together?
Well, again, we know what kind of players they are. That's why we recruit them. And with the guys out in quarantine, we were able to get them some playing time. We're getting some practice time this week. And Nate Noel, he's a dynamic player. And Nate can take it the distance. And the more he plays, the better he'll be. He's a little scat back and very similar to Darrington in some ways, that kind of speed. He's very smart. And it was his time to shine. I thought he missed a few holes today, but he'll get better in time.
Okay, we'll take a next question from Eddie Hughes, Spectrum News.
Hey, Coach, I know you said the game plan obviously was to run the ball, but how special was Dietrichs' performance today and everything that he finished with today?
He's a dynamic player, and he really ran with authority today. He was finished. We call them dirty runs. And those 3- and 4-yard runs add up to 8- and 9-yard runs in the fourth quarter. And he's a special football player. He's a great human being. He's such a team player. And we're glad he's on our football team.
Coach, I know, you said you have to plan kind of for these situations, especially during the COVID era. Do you plan for every position? I mean, how hard is that, knowing that, oh my gosh, this position group could get hit?
That's the world we live in right now. And unfortunately, we have 3 positions group wiped out. And it's hard to play college football with your whole team there, much less with 3 position groups gone. And we have a really good offensive line, and we have a damn good quarterback. And if you have that, you have a chance to be special. And that's where we are right now.